What's up guys, SassyBros here. So today we're going to be doing a review on Captain America Civil War. We're going to be talking about which characters made the
Why
most
are you
impact.
saying everything?
Be my guest.
Hi. The way this review is going to work is we are going to be listing the characters in the movie that made the most impact according to our opinions.
Spoiler alert guys, we are going to be talking about the movie a lot.
So if you haven't watched it, don't watch this, go away, watch the movie, come back and tell us what you think about it in the comments. Like, subscribe. Unfortunately, because Falcon and Hawkeye were so relevant to the movie, we decided to not put them on this list of most impactful characters. This is just because of the massive ensemble made it so difficult for each character, but especially Hawkeye and Falcon. So, yeah, sorry to any massive fans out there of these two characters. Number 9 on our list of most impactful characters, Vision. Not surprisingly, the most relevant character in the movie. With a cast as massively talented as this one, it's just really hard to pick and choose the best performances, the best storylines, but with a character that basically already has his fate sealed for the next few movies, it just makes it a little more difficult. So in Infinity Wars, the two-part Avengers movie deal that's going to star the Avengers against Thanos, it's widely thought that since Vision has the Mind Stone, he's most likely going to die to complete the gauntlet. This could be why he was sidelined so much in the movie. Of course, there was the odd scene or two where Vision was trying to normalize himself into society and knock instead of phasing through doors, developing his character from the Born Yesterday Vision we saw in Age of Ultron. But for the most part, he just didn't get as much screen time as some of the other characters, and that's mainly why he's the lowest on this list. In the midst of everything, we were able to have a few select scenes between him and Wanda, but even their budding comic book relationship was downgraded for the larger plot, understandably. With that being said, I do look forward to seeing how Vision continues to grow and have his powers grow with him in future films, as short as they may be.
Number 8, War Machine. His arc through siding with Iron Man is being a catalyst for the Civil War. Struck down by Vision, War Machine becomes paralyzed. It was marketed a lot in the trailers as semi-propaganda for Team Iron Man, and serves as a sympathy card being played with the line having been crossed simultaneously. It seemed like a bold, boisterous move for Marvel, especially with the many previous faux deaths they sold us, such as Coulson, Pepper Potts, Nick Fury and Groot in other movies. But yet again, it was a fruitless endeavor. Ironically, in a movie highlighting the consequences of their actions, War Machine simply regains the ability to walk again through one of Tony's inventions, which felt a little bittersweet.
Number 7, The Winter Soldier. Arguably, Bucky is the whole reason Steve is fighting against the Accords. He's seen firsthand in Captain America 2 what can come of leaving too much power up to one person, and the plot pushes for us to see what Bucky endured in being the Winter Soldier, which was one of the things missing from Captain America 2. However, the whole Zemo villain undercut through the movie was outrageously unnecessary. His motives were complicatedly unclear, his character was extremely hard to keep up with, and he felt outlandishly out of place in a movie full of superheroes. Without him, Bucky would have still been a vital part of the outcomes, and not much would have even needed to be edited out. He felt claustrophobically squeezed in, just to have another comic book character in the movie. It was stated that his purpose in the film was more of a setup for a future one, but it would have been breaking formula to have a Marvel movie with no real antagonist, and that's what I felt this movie should have done with these two amazing superheroes.
Number 6, Black Widow. In contrast to the last Captain America, we see Natasha and Steve's relationship take a different turn as she sides with Iron Man. There isn't much to say about her in the movie. Considering her past, it makes sense why she would agree to sign the Accords and be put into check. Once again, Scarlett Johansson brought this beautiful character to life. I would have liked to see further exploration of her position between Tony and Steve, finding herself in the middle of them as she lets Steve escape with Bucky, but continues to lean towards Tony's team. We see her final scene in the movie when she delivers that line from the trailers to Tony, "I'm not the one that needs to watch their back." While in the trailer it seems that they are talking about Team Cap, in the actual movie she broke the Accords by letting Steve and Bucky leave the airport fight, and he's telling her that she's going to be arrested. The mystery is left in the air. We know she doesn't get caught, but we don't know where she ends up or where we'll next see her when we see her in Infinity Wars.
Scarlet Witch. Struggling with how powerful she really is, Scarlet Witch has a nice morality questioning arc that's driven from her inexperience. At this point in time, we haven't actually seen heroes struggle with this issue yet, and Scarlet is one of the most potent mutants in the comics. We start off seeing her with Cap, Falcon, and Widow, and they're doing a mission to find Crossbones. Things go awry, however, and Scarlet throws Crossbones' self-detonating body into the air, which hits a building. In Age of Ultron, she was with her brother, and the two of them seem to really ground each other. Without him, she does seem to have the same sense of self-identity, but it's a shame that they didn't give Elizabeth Olsen more scenes with the other actors. I did find it weird that they didn't even mention Quicksilver's death, but that's probably the writers distancing themselves from that character since he's going to be used in X-Men Apocalypse, and it was such a kerfuffle the first time they had two of the same character in one universe. In that sequence when they're finding Crossbones, they're also teaching Wanda, but afterwards she's whittled down to basically only having scenes with Vision and Hawkeye, and it's a shame that the actress didn't get to flourish as much as she did in Age of Ultron. I have high hopes for her going into the future as we last see her in a straitjacket, since she's the only one the foreign countries directly target as a dangerous threat, and I'm interested in seeing how we see her take this going forward. Obviously, she was released with the rest of Team Cap, but how will knowing what the world really thinks of her shape her as a character and an Avenger?
Number 4. Captain America and Iron Man. Being a Marvel movie, it's obvious where these two stand in screen time, impact, etc. Although this movie was Avengers 2.5, the Russo brothers did a good job of keeping the limelight on Captain America. That being said, there wasn't distinct favorableness being shed onto Team Cap. As the plot progresses and relations seem to be getting worse between the Avengers and the politicians of the world, you see both sides of this civil war. Tony Stark raises some good points, and we never really dealt with the aftermath of the Battle of New York or in Sokovia. We just skip onto the next fight without truly dealing with the consequences, and this movie does highlight the callousness of that. Even though it felt shoehorned, it tied in with the subplot dealing with his parents' assassination by Bucky's hands, and the general motif of actions having ramifications. Steve himself is clearly shown dedicated to helping his friend after Captain America 2, where he sort of loses Bucky, and this continuation of their friendship is where he decides that he's not going to let Bucky slip through his fingers again. So it's drawn in the sand where Captain America pretty much stands in the whole venture.
Number 3. Black Panther. Truly a breath of fresh air in the movie. We have all these characters already primarily established, and then we have Black Panther, who has his debut in Civil War, and it's nicely executed. It's the origin backdrop for his future flick. There's a lot of setting up, since this is the beginning of Phase 3 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it builds excitement for what they have in store for us next. Black Panther is only really teased to us. We see a glimmer of this potentially rich character and what he has to offer, but his origin, his background, is still yet to be unpacked. I feel like they're making the cast more diverse, but of course this is only a stepping stone. He wasn't really needed in the movie, but it was nice of them to add him in as a way of setting his character up for his next movie.
Number 2. Ant-Man. Often the light-hearted break from more somber scenes, he brings all the charm and wit that made his own movie such a critically acclaimed hit. His introductory scene upholds some of the best qualities in the movie, where you really appreciate the crossovers happening with these different actors interacting and see the palpable chemistry on screen. Ant-Man the movie took such a different route from the normal formula Marvel uses in their storytelling that you'd think having him in would be weird, but Paul Rudd is such a natural actor that it's not like that at all. Nothing about his character is lost from his movie either. You might think that with such grand personalities he'd be eclipsed, but Paul really does hold his own, and I can't stress that enough. He has a really cool new ability we didn't see much of in his own movie, which is the growth power, and he says that it's a risk using it, which really only further showed his motives of fighting for what he believes in and what kind of hero he is.
And finally, number 1, the scene stealer, Spider-Man. So personally, I was a massive fan of Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, and the Amazing Spider-Man movies were truly amazing. So to see him recast for the third time was a little unsettling. Tom Holland was very, very fresh-faced in the movie, and not the actor who resembles Peter Parker the most. Only physically though. His actual portrayal of the character was one of the utmost performances of the whole movie. It's very clear where his arc is going to go, direction-wise, with the genius humbly going to high school and not being any different than the nerdy kid he used to be before gaining his powers. That was a very poignant scene between him and Tony, where he's confessing he's Spider-Man, but that he can't be Peter Parker and a hero. He has to separate those two entities as much as he hates lying to his aunt. The vagueness of where he got his powers from is probably going to be addressed in a solo movie, similar to how they dealt with the Black Panther mantle being passed on from father to son. His addition to the Avengers was effortless, and during the climactic fight scene you really got to see how his dynamic rightly fit into the team, playing on his age and his constant talking to make jokes about that one really old Star Wars movie, which was a lot of fun to see. Marvel always seamlessly incorporates comedic relief into their movies, so it was a no-brainer that Peter would be used that way, and Holland does a really good job playing it up. I really enjoyed his scenes between Falcon and Bucky especially, which was an interesting pairing, where they were fighting but also they were kind of bantering back and forth.
Thanks very much for watching, guys. So now we're gonna rate it. I'm gonna rate it out of 10. He's gonna give it a grade. I'm gonna rate it a strong 9.6 out of 10. It's pretty much the perfect hero movie, isn't it? So that's my rating.
I'm gonna rate it an A-, just because I don't think it was a perfect movie, but in standards of Marvel, it was pretty awesome. Stop.
Okay, well, thanks very much for watching, guys. See ya.